is encompassing ourselves, but it's also encompassing others. And you may live a long time, but that doesn't mean somebody that's important to you is. So understand your actions and what you do in this life also impact the people around you and also impact whether you have regrets at the end of it or not. Welcome back to the Prosperous Life Podcast. This is Braiden Belnap. Thank you so much, each and every one of you that consistently show up on a weekly basis. It really does mean a lot to me and your family, your friends, is when you show up on a weekly basis, you're transforming. When you transform, you don't just impact yourself, you impact the people that you're around. With that in mind, today we're talking about stopping wasting time. A lot of us and a lot of individuals nowadays are living life as if life is limitless. And quite frankly, God has gifted us a beginning, which is our birth, life, which is our journey, and death, which is the end. And yes, they're honestly all blessings. They're all gifts. As when something comes to an end, it's also always another beginning. And we have a lot of those. It's just that birth and death is the major ones that we're promised in life. And in the journey, we have multiple beginnings and multiple ends. Now, do recognize that sometimes death comes quicker than we really anticipate. I would love to promise you and myself and every single person in this world that we get to live all into our elderly years. But sometimes that death comes quicker than we believe. So it's important to understand that way we can create urgency and really build a life that we believe we're intended to build. Now, understand this is for you, whether you're living life as if you only live once and you're doing really as you wish moment to moment, maybe not really moving the needle as much as you believe you should or what you believe you could create in life. But this is also for you as if you're grateful for every single moment that you're here. You see, moment to moment is what our life is built upon from our past to our future. So if you're grateful for every single moment because you know at some point in your life you're not going to have another moment, that's an amazing thing. Because if you're grateful for the now, you'll be able to be grateful for the future. Now, I'm really excited for today's episode as we talk about the problem where people are acting. A majority of people act as if they have a lifetime and more than a lifetime to create their life. The thing is, as we talk about today, is our life is encompassing ourselves, but it's also encompassing others. And you may live a long time, but that doesn't mean somebody that's important to you is. So understand your actions and what you do in this life also impact the people around you and also impact whether you have regrets at the end of it or not. We have an opportunity to understand that death is in our future, and that's okay. It's maybe an uncomfortable topic. It's honestly something I believe that people should be more okay having conversations around and should have more conversations around. We talk about our child. We talk about our birth. We talk about our life. What about death? What do we want to be remembered as in life? Are you living life the way you want to be remembered if you were to die tomorrow? Because if it's a no, then clearly there's some things that you got to change and transform in your life so that when that time comes, your parents, your kids, your grandkids, your cousins, your family, your friends will remember for what you want to be remembered as. We can create an extraordinary life. We just have to understand what the vision is and what we want to create, where we're at, and then we can begin to fill that gap. And when we fill that gap one step at a time, it's going to become fuller and fuller and fuller as we go through life. Today, as we go through this podcast, imagine life as a mountain, right? Ultimately, you'll achieve your destiny and you'll get to the top of the mountain if you choose to take a step at a time. Now, it doesn't matter. There's limitless. You can pretty much get up the mountain as any way you want. But ultimately, you just have to start taking a step at a time, a day by day, and at some point you'll reach the top of the mountain. It's unfortunate, although some people stop growing. They stopped climbing. So unfortunately speaking, a lot of people actually don't make it to the top of their mountain that they could see. They don't get to see that beautiful view. They don't get to make that impact. They don't live that prosperous life. And you have an opportunity to do just that. Now, we can't transform or do anything that we're unaware of. It's impossible. If you have a spider on your back, well, that really is scary to me personally, but you can't get it off of your back if you don't know it's there, right? If you know it's there, you'll take the action, you'll do what's needed in order to get the spider off your back. So understand that when people live limitless, as if you won't die, there can be good things of that, right? You can go live in the moment. You can go hiking. It can be a positive thing. I'm not saying living the YOLO lifestyle is all that bad, although there's certain things where it can be very detrimental. For instance, if you believe you have forever and ever, and you believe that another person has forever and ever, well, the person that maybe you got in an argument with that you never apologized to, or the stranger that you were rude to, they could die, and you didn't have the opportunity to apologize to your best friend that you got in an argument with, and now you regret it. When you begin to live life as if it's limited, it creates an urgency. Arguments are okay. You're not going to be perfect. You're not always going to be kind. You're not always going to be the grateful person. You're not always going to be the person that takes responsibility. People will fall into things. What's important is you become aware of it immediately, you transform it, and you apologize, because not everybody is promised tomorrow. So yeah, life is limited, and when you recognize that and you see that, you get to start to create a life that you're proud of. It creates that urgency. You want to create a career, you go do it. You want to create a business, you go do it. You want to apologize, you go apologize. You want to build a relationship, you go do it. You want to experience and travel the world, you go do it, because you understand life is limited. Now, on the flip side of this, in this perspective, life is really long. I'm 22 years old. If I live till 80 or older, I still have like 3 more lives of my life. So if I worked on building my career over the next 22 years, I still have like 2 more lives. That's phenomenal. We have a lot of time. That's just if we're determined to have a really long, elderly life, you could say. So do understand that as we go through this, life is long. Life is really long. You have a long time to do things. Just know that we're not promised tomorrow, and that's what makes life really limited. God gave us this life to create something extraordinary. So optimize the time we have. Don't blow your 20s, 30s, 40s away still feeling like you have another 60 years. Take the time every single day to build a life that you're proud of. To build a life that if you were to leave tomorrow, you would be okay with it and not have any regrets. You may not feel completed. You may not feel like you built the relationships or had the kids or things of that nature. I'm not saying be 100% okay with it, but at least know that if you were to leave this earth tomorrow, you'd be remembered the way you really wanted to be remembered, I should say. So yeah, don't grow up. Don't push yourself to grow up and have that mentality. Don't have fun. Enjoy life. Laugh, love, smile. Talk to a stranger that is unique and interesting. Go out and compliment people. Go out and just, in the spur of the moment, go on a hike. Go swimming. Go on a trip. Go somewhere you've never been. Go experience a coffee shop that you never experienced before. Or the food. Or just any experience, really. So start to live life. Have fun. Peter Pan never grew up. He had an amazing life. And he seemed really proud of his life as well, I would say. So we don't want to grow up. We just want to bring in the mindset of growth, right? We want to keep playing the video games. We want to keep playing the sports. We want to keep doing our activities that we're really passionate about. We just want to bring in the growth. How do I build what God believes in me to build? How do I build the life that I really want to live? How do I build something that I can leave for generations to come? Those are the questions we want to begin asking while we still get to have fun. We don't need to grow up. We can just have the growth aspect to this. We don't need to adult. We can just keep having fun, keep enjoying life, and we can begin to build a life that we're proud of. Now, with that in mind, really understand and evaluate what you want. Evaluate, am I living a life that I'm okay with for the rest of my life? And if that answer is no, ask yourself, what is it that I really want in life? What's the vision? If I'm not happy the way I would be remembered today, how do I want to be remembered? And really take time to understand that. If you never changed another day in your life, how does that bring you pain? How does that bring your family pain? How about your friends? If you never changed, how would that bring you and your family pain? Would you be able to leave if you were to pass away, something behind that your family could really cherish for you, or your friends, or a charity even? This life isn't all about you. This life is about the people around you as well. Ultimately, if you make it to the top of the mountain and you never helped anybody else to make it to the top of the mountain, your life wasn't really meaningful. So how are you leaving behind tools, resources, frameworks behind to help people get to the top of their mountain? Begin to raise your standards. Are you living to the standards you believe you're capable of living in? Begin to survey yourself. I'm not saying raise your standards, work 100 hours a week, always be kind, always be grateful, never allow any negative in your life, this, and this. No, what I'm saying here is be human. Be growth-minded every single day. If you're growing and you're taking a step every single day, at some point, you're going to get to living the extraordinary life that you really want to live. So yeah, if you were rude to one person today, maybe the goal for tomorrow is to not be rude to anybody. If you worked 8 hours, but over those 8 hours, only 4 hours were productive, maybe the next goal for tomorrow is just to be 5 hours more productive. If you don't have any savings, any legacy planning in place today, maybe over the next year, your goal is to have a 6-month emergency fund and to have a legacy plan in place. Maybe if you don't have any life insurance or any meaningful left back of your story, journals, anything, maybe over the next year, it's okay, how do I leave financially my family to be okay, but also a piece of me to be okay? This isn't a transformation of now immediate. No, life is limited, but we do have quite a long life, hopefully, in order to leave what we can behind. Now, if we are, for instance, our identity, our authentic self, being authentic is hard, although it's the most important thing, and it's the most brave thing in the world. Because ultimately, unfortunately speaking, most people live in the beginning for others and then in the end for themselves. So let me tell you a little bit about that. In the end, A lot of people are wishing on their deathbed, or even in their older years when they're not able to do something, that they wish they did something. Maybe they wish they left the stories for their family to be able to read about their life. And that's a beautiful thing. And we can definitely make that happen in our older years. But imagine if we went to our deathbed and asked ourselves, what do I need to achieve so I don't have any regrets on my deathbed? And we brought it into today. That way you can begin to form that, understand it, and take a step by step every single day to make that happen for ourselves. So instead of having to go right back on 70 years of stories, you begin to write a page a week even of your story. That way, when your family wants those stories, you're able to hand them over without having to be stressed about writing 70 years of stories. Or if you want to leave a certain amount of money behind for your kids or your grandkids, you understand that goal, so you can be working towards that every single year of your life in order to make that happen. Or if you wanted to build a business or do art or build a sports team, whatever the case is, you can be doing that today instead of when you're on your deathbed or when you're older and not able to do that. Now, I want to highlight for any older people listening to this, what's important is you're still able to do that. What's important is you still have today to do that. So maybe something looks a little bit different. Maybe instead of writing the 70 pages, maybe you write what's really important, what stands out, what are the lessons that you learned in your life that you could pass on for generations to come. What's important is a lot of older people, when they have the regrets, they still don't take action, and you still have an opportunity to do that, and that's such a beautiful thing. What's important is if you feel like you wouldn't be remembered the way you want to, you can begin to take those actions to begin to be remembered. And those transformations are what people remember. So if you're that angry elderly person right now and you don't want to be remembered as that, just try to be kinder. Just shoot to be a 1% kinder every single day. And by the end of your life, people will remember, hey, they were super angry and grumpy all the time, and they became the sweetest person. And I want to live that way. See, those are the things that you can be doing. Young, old, you can begin to transform your life so that you are really leaving the impact that you want to be doing in the little ways and the big ways. So live and become your greatest. We don't need to become our greatest individual over time, because guess what? You will never become the greatest. You will never have enough time to achieve everything you want to in this world. It's impossible. We are, again, blessed with the birth, life, and death. Over 100 years, if you live to 100, you can't create everything you want to. But what's important is you create what you believe you're intended to create. So just every day, 1% better. Whether that's business, career, family, relationships, being kind, yourself, just shoot to become 1% better, one more day at a time. Now, what's important is wherever you are at, that you love where you're at. We don't want to bandage up the good and bad things. We want to just fully accept what is. As when we accept what is, the snow globe can calm. If you shake up a snow globe, you can't really see through it. But when you just give it time, the snow in the snow globe will fall. And you can begin to see clearly. So when you recognize what you don't want, don't begin to go crazy and shaken up and try to solve the problem. No, we don't want to be focused on what we don't want anymore. We do want to focus on what we do want. So let's say for the example of the elderly person wanting to be remembered as kind but has been grumpy. Instead of focus on don't be grumpy today, just focus on being kind. That way we walk towards what we focus on. So begin to walk in that area. Begin to focus today. I'm going to be kind. I'm not going to be grumpy. Focus, I'm going to be kind, because then you'll walk towards just that. That way, when you love where you're at today, you can love your tomorrow. Begin to tell a different story of yourself. If you've been addicted to something, whether porn, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever the fact is, or whether you've been grumpy, or whether you've been really rich and making a huge impact, yet you're a miserable person to be around. Or if you're super poor and you're a victim and you're a miserable person to be around, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you begin to tell a different story of yourself. Because if you tell the story of yourself, I'm poor, the world's against me, you're blaming people and the world for your circumstances, then you'll stay there. The story we tell ourselves is what begins to come into our life. Now, you don't get rich and then think like a wealthy person. You think like a wealthy person and then you get rich. And that applies to anything in life. You think like a successful person, then become successful. You don't become successful, then think like a successful person. So what needs to take place? Start to tell the story of you differently. This is like a huge part of your identity. So begin to tell yourself, I'm creating myself to be wealthy in the world. I'm beginning to be kinder. I will be kinder. And begin to tell yourself that different story, because then every single day you wake up and you're telling yourself a different story, your identity is changing. And when you change, you will be remembered for who you want to be remembered as. You will leave the lessons behind for the lessons you want to leave for the generations to come in your family, but also the strangers in this world. Now, don't forget that when you have a vision and you take action, the results will come. You know what results are going to come. When you want a Mercedes-Benz and you take action upon that, you know what's going to get. You're going to get the Mercedes-Benz. Again, we don't want to focus on, I don't want my crappy car, I want a Mercedes-Benz. Guess what? You're going to get the crappy car. That's what you're focused on. So just simply focus on the Mercedes-Benz and take action towards that, and then someday you'll get the Mercedes-Benz. Now, most show up day to day, not moving the needle. They know what they want. They know their vision. They want to be rich. They want to be a millionaire. They want to have a big business. Yet they just show up day to day, not really taking action towards that. They want it given to them. But that's not the way this works. This is life. Luck is here. Miracles happen. But guess what? If you take action, the more miracles in your life that will take place and the more luck will take place. So you have an opportunity to walk towards that, what you're passionate about, what you love, what you're purposeful about, what impact you want to make. You have an opportunity to walk towards that. But it takes having a vision and it takes taking action. So really build out your life vision. What is your life vision? How much money do you want to make a year? How much money do you want to have in the bank or the investments or in real estate when you retire? When do you want to retire? Do you ever want to retire? How about how big your businesses want to be? What do you want to accomplish in your career? What do you want to do with your family? How about your spiritual life or mental? Do you want to work 7 days a week? Do you want to learn how to work only 20 hours a week to be able to be there for your kids more? Do you want to go to every single one of their sporting events? This is your life. So really create the life vision that you want in your life and begin to walk towards that. Don't focus on your life now. We want to focus on your life vision. And when we focus on that every single day and we take action in accordance to that, we will get there. Again, you have to think as if you're living an extraordinary life now before you live an extraordinary life. You don't live an extraordinary life, then think that way. We focus upon what we think. So create that. Now, not to say we have to understand what the next steps are. So when you create that life vision, we then want to come back and create a vision board. not a modern vision board where you put all the pictures up and things of that nature. Now, those are very beneficial too, although we want to be laser focused in 2 to 9 goals that we're working towards. So you have your life vision. Now you have your vision board that will be the next steps in order to get there. You have a frame, so you have focus when you're looking at it. And you attach pictures that you want to bring into your life. What are these next steps to get to your life vision? You be very specific, measurable, timeable, and have a purpose. Write that out and create and write your next step that you're working towards. That way, every single day and night, you know exactly what your next step is. The next day, you don't have to question, what am I doing in order to bring in an extra $1,000 a month or whatever your goal is. You know exactly what needs to take place. Now, daily success equals life success. Again, if you have a successful moment, it usually leads to another successful moment, and so on and so forth. It's a Doppler effect. So begin to visualize your life. Begin to visualize your daily life. What is the perfect day for you? When you sit and you make your schedule at night, whatever the fact, begin to visualize the perfect day. When you visualize, you begin to bring that energy and that emotion, feelings into your life. And the next day, you conquer on that visualization. You make it happen for yourself. And if you're successful day to day, you will have a successful life, no doubt in my mind. Now, something to be important of is to understand the cost of inaction. If you don't take action on your vision, what is your life really going to look like? And what's the value of taking action? You can either live this most extraordinary, prosperous life, or you can live this mediocre, okay, average life, or worse than that. So ask yourself, what is your cost of inaction? If you don't take action, what will your life look like? And on the flip side of that, really understand the pleasure of taking action. What does your life look like if you do just that? Now, for a long time, now I can't say long time, I believe 22 is a really young age. I believe I'm super young, quite frankly, so long time in my years. I wasn't taking action. I wasn't living an authentic life. Quite frankly, I would say I was killing myself inside. Every single day, I was my biggest bully. Every single day, I told myself what I could and could do. Every single day, even though I had big vision, big goals, I was telling myself why I wasn't worthy of any of it. I was truly killing myself inside. The moment I began to treat myself like somebody I loved, and I was kind, and I began to transform these little things and start to focus on really what I did want instead of the problem, I began to transform one day at a time. And now I'm my best friend. Now, sometimes that voice in my head comes up. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a life coach. I'm not perfect. And sometimes it'll say things. Like before I started this podcast, you can't start a podcast. Who are you? You've never done a podcast before. Guess what? I've taken that voice and made it my best friend. That voice is my best friend because it's pointed out exactly what I need to do to be successful. That voice was right. I'm not qualified to do podcasts. I've never done a podcast before. Well, guess what? I'm going to build that qualification. So I focus on the solution. I'm going to be qualified to do podcasts by creating my podcasts. So begin to treat yourself like somebody you love. And when you begin to treat yourself like somebody you love, you will be remembered as the person you want to be remembered as, instead of who you don't want to be remembered as, by your family, friends, strangers, and this world. If you treat yourself like somebody you love, you'll begin to leave resources and tools behind for you to make the impact that you want to on your family and your friends and so on and so forth. So live today like it's your last. How would you really show up? You don't have to do anything in this world. If it's your last day, I'm sure you wouldn't be complaining about your day job. You don't have to go to work. You get to go to work because you're making that impact on yourself, your family, and so on and so forth. Now today, I want to thank you for showing up every single week again. I want to thank you for showing up today. I really do appreciate it. I benefit off of this podcast just as much as you do, because as you make these transformations and I make these transformations, we get to transform the people around us. And when you transform, I transform. So we're in this together. Now, if you enjoyed this podcast and you found value in it, go ahead and check out the list of podcasts that we have in this Prosperous Life podcast. Now, any important notes, go to the show notes. You can find it in below this podcast. And go ahead, and if you found value in this podcast, go ahead and leave a review. Find me at Braiden Belnap on social media. Reach out to me. I'd love to hear what I'm doing right, what I could do better. And if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. Have a wonderful rest of your day.